Hi, and thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure. We'd like to congratulate everyone that came and devoting the time, and thank you for taking the time. I know that we have people from basically all around the world, so if we're going from west to east, so good morning to all the West Coast people, and good afternoon to the people in the East Coast, and good evening to Europe, and very late night, I guess, in Asia. So without further ado, let's jump in. We have quite a lot of material to cover, and I'll try to go as quickly as possible because I learned from the past experience that one of the best parts is just to leave enough room for questions. So just feel free to use the chat and the question section so we could address them at the end. If you want to follow my slides, you could see in the top Omnibox Ido-Green at appspot.com, and from there the first link will just open you the presentation so you could follow up with me. So that's basically the site that I'm keeping for all the presentation and talks that I'm giving, and here I just made a new one for this webcast, so just feel free to follow up with me, and later on, of course, you're most welcome to do view source, check out the code, and just see exactly how things are being done. So just with a few words of who is now speaking, I'm usually these days using leveraging G+. It's a great platform to have bidirectional communication. But if you live in Twitter, it's also a great channel for me. So just feel free to ping me after the webcast if you have any issues, comments, things that you want to share. We call developer advocate in Google, and that's quite different from other companies that call this role evangelist, because we believe that 50% of our time, at least 50% of our time, should be in a spot where we are listening and not just preaching or talking about technical subjects. And actually that's one of the best parts of the role that I really enjoy, speaking with developers from startup up to Fortune 100 companies. If you want to go deeper on some of the topics that we'll cover, please feel free to go to my blog or HTML5rock.com, which is another great site that we try to harness with a lot of great content. Okay, so what things that we'll try and cover during our talk? I think that the one common denominator will be, what, really? The web can do such amazing things? And we'll just show how in 2012 we could do lots of amazing stuff. So basically just to see how we're going to devote the next, let's take 45 minutes, basically we'll try to define at the beginning what is a modern web app and what are the main characteristics when we're looking at them and defining what are the ones that really works and could be considered great web apps. Then we'll dive real quick into designing and what are the main building blocks that we need to pay attention or we want to leverage them when we're designing and building. And after designing, of course, the fun part of coding, what are the power tools or what are the APIs today that really giving a lot of powers to web developer to build amazing clients. Last but not least, I will try through the presentation just to go and share some tips and tricks that I found very useful during my day in, day out when I'm coding demos and examples. You'll see me opening the dev tool, the Chrome DevTools, and just trying to do interesting things to show you things behind the scene. So that will be not the last part of the talk, but mostly we'll just go with it. Okay, so when we're coming to define the modern web app, it's not secret that we're speaking about the power of HTML5, all the new APIs, the rich APIs that we have, and of course, the experience that users are accustomed to. So things like 3D, drag and drop, file, responsiveness, speed, all those things are actually very important and crucial to a successful, great modern web app, because users are regular to see them in other native or desktop experiences. Here are some examples, both examples that I choose to mention. I'm sure everyone are familiar with Angry Birds, so if you go to chrome.angrybirds.com, you'll see that after the first time, it's basically installing this app, this web app, on your browser, after the installation phase, you basically could launch it from a new Chrome tab, exactly like you do in any other device like iOS or Android. So this is a great example. Of course, Gmail Offline and the New York Times and HipMock are all also very powerful examples for modern web apps. So let's try and define real quick what are the main characteristics. So one and foremost, we see that it's a self-contained and functional app. Unlike sites that you are accustomed to where you have a one-stop shop for everything, lots of links, lots of things to do. In most of the web apps, you'll see a certain goal, and the app itself trying to give the user the best experience to achieve her goal. Other thing that we see common, and I touched about it with the Angry Bird example, is offline first. So like mobile first initiative, when you are building an app and you want it to run on all the platforms that we have today, from really tiny devices through smartphones up to tablets, then desktops, and lastly, TVs, where we have basically Chrome on all of them. You want to keep in mind that you want the offline experience, and we'll touch about how offline is crucial and why it's so important. Another thing that we come to notice is that more and more great web apps are using client-side architecture and basically frameworks. So MVC, or should I say MV Star, because we have MVP and MVVM and lots of others, and we see really flourishing MVC frameworks that are coming to life. Because when we have more and more logic in the clients, we want to make sure that we want that spaghetti code and we want a clear separation between the data and the view. Last but not least, we want the app to be device aware. We want it to use media queries and make sure that it's responsive and it's giving the best usage to the user with the limited real estate that each and every device is giving in terms of screen sizes. And last but not least, we're really trying to achieve 60 frames per second. That's what the eye and the brain can understand. Above it, it's just a waste of resources. And below it, people will notice. So we'll see some tricks of how we could achieve it. When we're touching about client-side frameworks, I just choose 3 that I had the pleasure to work with, but there are plenty of others. And if you go to this nice icon on the right side, it's basically my colleague Eddie Osami, which is a wonderful blogger and a wonderful JavaScript programmer and developer that built it to do MVC. So you see there actually how each and every framework, JavaScript framework, is doing things differently when they are coming to accomplish the same task of giving you a to-do list app. What I'd like to mention is that when you are going with Angular, one of the nice things about it is it basically just extends the HTML vocabulary, so you don't need to learn another new terminology or language in order to be productive with it. Backbone is by far the most popular MVC framework these days, and I think one of the main things that made it so popular is the simplicity and the thin layer that is bringing to you, the web developer. So you could choose and basically work with it on almost every web app that you have today, and actually it's quite easy to start and work with it even on apps that you have today that are not using any MVC framework, as long as, of course, you kept some tidiness and house cleaning rules in terms of clear separation between the data, the controller, and the view. Ember is a brainchild of what used to be Spark Code, and it's Cat and some other great JavaScript developers that brought to life this, I would call, opinionated framework. It's sort of Ruby or Rails, but for the client side. And I would really urge you to check it out and see if it's fitting your needs. If it's fitting your needs, it might be a great choice. If not, probably you'll have quite hard time to do different things with it. So they choose convention over configurations, and sometimes it's more great and sometimes less. So just play with it. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is Google Cloud Endpoints. It's a very, very new thing that I had the pleasure to have a talk about it in Google I/O, and it's basically giving you, the developer, the easy way to establish a powerful API that will scale, and later you could consume it with, in our case, of course, web technologies, but also any other mobile technology that you wish. So very easily, you could achieve and create, define, and build your API, and then consume it. The link is here to a full-blown, quite long, actually, article that I wrote about it, but feel free to check the article or just go with the video of the talk. So when we're coming to the modern web and we're speaking about offline, what are the main reasons that we want to make our web apps offline? I think that first and foremost, it's better performance. It won't be sluggish, the app will work really fast, and user will have great experience with it. That's, for me, one of the most crucial and important features that offline actually bring to us. Because basically, we won't need to do any AJAX call and make the user wait for our response or for our data. We'll save everything locally, and the user will see it really responsive. And later, when the app logic or the sync layer is making the right choices, we'll just sync all the information back to the server, to the cloud, and make sure that we have a persistent layer in terms of the data and the state. Of course, why we need offline? Because we don't have internet connection on all and every places, and desert island or submarine or airplane are good examples. And sometimes we have flaky connections, so we don't want the case where the user is sitting in Starbucks and can't enjoy our app. The last thing is that basically it's giving the users the look and feel and basically the experience that the app is always there. And I agree that sometimes it's maybe the goal is, up in the air, because sometimes it doesn't make sense to have the app. But you can think about cases that even Twitter client, for instance, you do want it to work offline. Basically, if you could have some sort of sync layer and the app will give you the tweet, maybe it will be just the last subset of them, but you can still be productive and read and enjoy them. The last thing is that I wanted to show here is basically how we could achieve it. So luckily today in HTML5, we have lots of APIs that harnessing us with good concepts of how we could achieve perfect or almost perfect offline experience. So first and foremost, to storing assets, and with a single page HTML web apps, we have one HTML or maybe a bit more, but JavaScript files and CSS files. AppCache is a great technology just to save all of them on the user's SSD or disk, and of course all the static assets that we need, like MP3 files, OGG files, or images. When we come into storing data, we have local storage, which is by far the most popular technology today in all the modern browsers, and IndexedDB is actually the replacement of WebSQL. So if you're targeting right now, I would really encourage you to check IndexedDB. And I know that you can find on GitHub some projects today, like launchers and other, that giving you basically the great enjoyment of both worlds in terms of using the offline technologies, but through plugins. So you could have a plugin of local storage or WebSQL, and then later on IndexedDB. File API is another great technology that's basically giving you the ability to cache files and to save not only text and strings, but also binary data, and we'll see some powerful examples in the next slide. So when we're coming to build an offline first I think one of the ways to do it right is just to pretend that we don't have connection, and then to implement the sync layer. Usually when we're coming to apps that we didn't build this way, it will be much harder. It's not mission impossible, but it will be harder to just enforce this logic on the app itself. When we're coming to see when we are online or when we should activate the sync layer, navigator.online will give you true-false. And basically, it's very, very easy to monitor and to see when we are online or offline or just got a flaky connection. So let's dive into some of the great features. I borrowed some of these slides from Eric Biederman, and he gave a very, very great talk in Google I/O that's called The Web Can Do That. I changed a bit some of the slides because I have the urge to just go to some other topics that Eric didn't focus. So if you have the chance, I really highly recommend you to watch Eric talk. So CSS for web apps, what's going on there? So with CSS for web apps, we basically got some really new powerful ways to make the holy grail, or to make sure that our app will do the best with the real estate that it got. And speaking about lots of new technology that we had, like floor positioning and grid layout, and now we have the Flexbox that are giving us great ways. We see in 2012, all of those links are going to W3, and all standards that are being now worked on, and some of them are really, really powerful in terms of what they could do. The two that I love most are grid layout and flexible box. And when we're speaking about the new one is the one that they are working with right now. The good news that is the changes are minor from the old one. The bad is that, yeah, we do have changes. So why it's so awesome, or why it's great? I think because it's giving us this simple configuration. So it seems trivial, but yeah, it's some sort of way that we'll want to make sure that the user will enjoy the real estate, or the limited real estate, I should say, of their devices. And this is a great way to achieve it. So I want to define my header, footer, the navbar, and yes, I want the article or the main content of the web app to take as much real estate as it needs. And how can I achieve it? So the thing that you see here is basically I have those two axes that I'm working with Flexbox. And here we have a nice way to just make sure that no one will catch me of not doing a vendor prefix. So each time that you see a plus, just know that, yeah, we're doing in the CSS all the different prefix that we needed. Hopefully in the near future we won't need any of them. And see how easy we could just play with our content. So right now it's in the center, but I could definitely put it at the beginning of the state or in the end. I could make it space even. I could put it on the baseline, or I could stretch it. And for some that know how hard it is to do it, or how much longer it will be to do it with CSS, those three lines basically giving us all the power that we need in order to do so. Other great thing that I found is that it's giving you a really powerful way to just organize your content. So you could think about it as a tablet maybe in horizontal mode, and now when I'm rotating it, very easily I could achieve the vertical alignment. Or here, when we're speaking about the second child, it's the B here, I could definitely play with the order and make sure that it will become before or after. As you can see, -1 will put it before, 0 is the location, and 1 will put it after. Same high columns. To the ones that play with CSS knows how much better it looks like that, and it's basically really easy to achieve it. Of course, I could play with it, and it's very, very easy to do so. In terms of flexibility, I touched on it, but you could see that I have even more feature here. Let's say that I want B to be double than the others. It's just 2 or 3 times the others, and so on. Very, very easy way just to play with content and the divs that you have on the page. And this is actually a great demo that Eric built. You can see here how everything is dynamic. We're giving a lot of real estate to the article, and if I need more buttons to the navigation, everything is being done with CSS. Of course, I could do it with JavaScript, but it's code that I need to maintain. And as you all know, we're reading the code much more than we're writing it, so it's far better for us as web developers or as developers at all to have the shortest code possible, of course not on top of readability, just because we're reading it again and again. Let's go back. In terms of browser support, we have it in Safari, in Chrome, and in i10. Hopefully we'll have it in other as well. Dynamic CSS. So this thing is basically giving us the possibility to do calculation on the fly. And you could see here that I basically took the circle, and I'm calculating when I'm hovering on it, and you could see here in border radius, I'm calculating and making sure that the width and the height will change. And that basically will just change it to squares from circles. So again, very powerful way to calculate on the fly the thing that we want to achieve with the CSS. And basically it's giving us lots of powers because of course we could do it with JavaScript, but here we're just telling the browser exactly what we want to do, and it's again much shorter code. The support for it is quite impressive. We have it on all the major browsers, and hopefully we'll have it on all of them quite soon. Data binding. So that's another very cool feature that basically we want to make sure that we'll be able to have some clear separation between our data and the view. And in this case, Angular just making our life so much easier in the sense that we could see here that we're defining this div, or in your app it will be on the top of the HTML tag, as Angular app. And now once we're giving it the model of the value, it will know what to do with the value here. So when I'm playing with the value, I'm changing the field itself dynamically. And that's one way, one great way just to have data binding, one-way data binding. Another way to do data binding without any use of framework or tool is just to listen to the event and hook them up. And let's see how the code will look like. So basically here you could see that in the input, I'm looking at the content, and basically I'm just putting those two, and after I'm listening to the event here of the scroller of the input, I'm taking the value, and once I have a change event, I'm just putting it in the data set itself. So again, when I'm moving the slider right and left, I'm just having the right value in the right place. And that's actually a very easy way, or a way to do it without any framework. Another way that we're having it today is with data list. And with data list, we basically put our data inside. And you could see here that basically if I'm going, we have a nice way of sort of autocomplete. The support for it is very impressive. We have it on all the modern browsers today, and that's something that you could use in your web apps right now. Multi-threaded programming. So that's, of course, a very dear and close project to my heart. And as you can see, I got really excited, and I basically wrote a book about it. I know it's a shameless promotion, but I just had to. Basically, I just wanted to see how easy it is to leverage the capabilities of the browsers on your clients, make sure that the UI thread, the single thread that we have there, is basically extended, and you can do much more with the hardware, with the CPU, with the browser and the web app that the user is giving you. And you could see here that basically, in order to start a worker, I just need to pull a script to my to the constructor, and then listen to the message, the post message events, and that's it. And on the worker itself, again, I'm just listening to the messages so I could know what to do or when to do it. And now when I'm doing some, let's say, heavy lifting calculation in the work, I could definitely later on just post the results back to the main thread. It's very, very easy subject in terms of the API that we have. It's a very difficult or challenging subject because, as you all know, multi-threaded programming is a very, very deep project, very, very deep and hard concept, and in lots of cases we are shooting our own foot. So I would really urge you to see exactly what you're doing. With web workers, in most of the cases, we want a long-lasting task. We don't want to open lots of them. They are perfect to be in the background, do some calculation, take the offload from our web app. With the shared workers, I give here the example, it's basically a great way to have one single point of communication. Even if your web app is opened on different windows and tabs, the shared worker will serve all of them. So if you want one single point of, let's say, communication with the local database, or any other communication scenario that you have, that might be a good way to check it. In terms of feature detection, I would really encourage you to use Modernizer. It's on GitHub. Paul Iris is one of the top developers there, and they did a beautiful, great work in terms of giving you the ability to do a feature detection and not just ask the user agent or something else that is actually a very bad practice. All the examples of the book are on GitHub, so just feel free to click this link and go and play with them. And one thing that I think held web workers from being touched and not being really popular is the hard time the developer had to debug it. And these days, with luckily with Chrome DevTools, we have basically a great way to debug them. So you could see here, I put the option of worker inspector, and once you click it, you'll basically be able to put breakpoints in your worker and debug it. Accessing the file system. So 2012, and yes, we have the ability to work with files from the browsers, and that's actually a great concept. We have the file system API, and it used to be that we had limitation or limit on it in terms of 5 meg. Today in Chrome, it's unlimited. Of course, it's limited in terms of the disk space that you have, but basically you'll have quite a lot of availability in terms of the space that you could use. And if you need more, the browser will prompt the users that they could grant you. And specifically on Chrome, when you're working and asking the user to install, let's say, a web app from the Chrome Web Store, the user will be notified at the beginning. And that's actually one of the APIs that Angry Bird is using in order to save all the hundreds or I think above 100 of megabytes of data that are saving with the web apps of all the assets. So that's the API that we see here. That's how we're requesting it. In terms of security, you can't just go to any file on the computer, of course. You're basically limited to the sandbox, and it's per region, of course. So it's per the URL and the port that your web app is served from. And the powerful thing is that we could do now all the things that you would do with any other technology with files, strings, and of course binary. And one of the benefits, of course, or the main benefit is that we could dynamically cache and be the masters of our own web apps in terms of caching and heavy binary data. So let's see how we're caching remote files. So first, as you can see here, I'm just opening and doing an XHR request, and I'm using the buffer array, so it won't be text. And here in the onload function, I'll do all the magic of really saving the data that I got from my server. So first thing, I'll just go and request the file system to allocate me the memory. Then I'll go and basically create the file that I'm going later on to use. And inside the file entry, I'm creating a writer. And then, of course, I need to make sure that I know what to do, or my web app basically will know what to do in terms of errors or when we're ending and communicating back to the user. But the heart of everything is, in the end of the day here, when we are just writing with the blob the response that we got from the XHR. So just to make sure that everyone been able to see it, we have those two, let's call it boilerplate functions that we want to make sure that we have in place. But the heart of everything is here when we are just using our writer, our file writer, write API to create a new blob. In our case, it's, of course, binary data of an image. And it will save it, of course. In terms of what we're doing, so that's the origin in our case. And here we're just appending it and saving it locally. As you can see here, we have I think 5 callbacks. So it's become very, very dicey and hard to work with. And luckily, Eric wrote, and you have it here, a file wrapper to all of them. And basically, this file wrapper is giving you the ability to use common Unix commands like ls, cp, env, just to copy and move files. And you could see how easy it is to work after you initialize it. ls will give you the list, copy will copy it, and etc. This is actually a great demo. Let's try and just run on it real quick. So basically, it's HTML5 demos, HubSpot, and you could see here that if I'm going and let's say I'm taking a directory, I can drag and drop it, and now I have the full ability to work with the files that the directory that I drag and drop are now saved in a new location under this region. So that's quite powerful. I basically just took the directory of the JavaScript of this slideshow. Yeah, so the one thing that we're getting a lot is, hey, but just one browser. So luckily, with this shim, we have a way to do it also on Firefox and, very importantly, IE10. Server download. Up to now, we needed to have some sort of a hack in order to force the server or the browser basically to download an asset. And one way to do it was the content disposition, and then the browser used to open a new tab, and then you could right-click and download it. But we want a way or a new way to make sure that if we're creating content on the client side, we still want the ability to download it immediately without any hack or without any communication with the server. And that's basically the download attribute. So this is the example, and you see here that once I'm adding it, in our case, to some sort of a logo, when we click on it, it won't navigate to a new tab or something like that. It will just download the asset itself. Here is basically a really nice demo. You can see that I'm writing some stuff. And now let's say that I wrote this amazing novel and I want to save it. Let's make sure that it's our own. And now when I'm downloading it, the browser just downloads it immediately. And I can open it, and you can see that we have everything in place. That's another very cool way to just make sure that if you are generating content on the client, you could let your users saving and leveraging it later. This is basically the simple code that does it. I see that we're running a bit short of time, so I'll just let you read it and see, and if you have questions, just feel free after the webcast. Efficiently transfer data, or should I say huge amount of data. So that's another, basically, one of the challenging aspects that we have with workers in the past, because, hey, workers are very powerful, but if it will take me a lot of time to transfer, let's say, 50 megs of data to the worker and then back from the worker, it's basically not very helpful. And we could jump real quick to see the evolution of post message in terms of a protocol. So basically, we use it to communicate with workers or with the window to other aspects of our app. And that was basically the simple way that we used it. And what happens in lots of cases is that if we communicate with a worker that way, we basically took this payload and really copying it. And now, these days, when we have complex types and we have really heavy objects in hand, it's becoming really, really a problem. It's sort of a way that you can't really be extremely productive when you are transferring chunks of data to and from the worker itself. So, as we said, it's not efficient, and we, of course, can do better. And luckily, these days, we have transferable objects. And what they will do is basically a shallow copy or a move. So it's extremely fast, and the change in terms of the API is basically nothing, because we just need to add this. And let's see a quick demo of how it's being done. But basically what you should keep in mind is that it's in order of magnitude faster. So here it's 50 times faster. I did some tests. It was even more. So this is another great demo, and you could see also on my blog another demo that I did, which actually work on the data itself in the worker. But basically, you could see that when I'm running the test, it's very, very fast, just copying those 32 megas. Here it took 3 milliseconds, another 3, here 4. And if I run the same test on another browser that doesn't leverage transferable objects, you see the numbers are going between 250 milliseconds and sometimes 400 and more. Feature detection, yeah, it's staying, you know where, and this is actually the way to make sure that we know if we have transferable objects or not. And the thing here is that we're basically creating a really tiny buffer array, and we're using the post message with the transferable objects extra variable. And now, if we have here true in terms of the byte length, basically we don't have it. If it's not, then life is good and we could work with it. Currently, it's supported only on Chrome. Access to native hardware, that's another thing that I'm truly passionate and excited about. We had a really nice cool demo of Lego robot that is controlled from a Chromebook, which is basically Chrome with some shell of a nice hardware, through a gamepad API that basically controls the robot itself. So it was very, very cool. And yes, the basic outcome of it is that we have a device API work group. This is the link. You could follow up on all the new exciting things that are going there. Geolocation API, we had very simple API to get the position of the device. Device orientation, WebGL, do amazing stuff with that 3D. The HTML5 system that we spoke about, how we could check the connectivity, and battery API. Mostly on mobile devices, we want to make sure that we won't consuming too much, and the gamepad API that is evolving, and we'll have it quite soon. One thing that I want to mention is that, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm using the Chrome Canary. Chrome Canary is basically another dev channel of Chrome. You could install it side by side with your Chrome, and I strongly recommend you to do it. You'll get the greatest and latest in terms of the DevTools. And it's really, really powerful to work with. Just as a short example, I could go and, of course, see exactly what's going on in terms of my web app. I could do things like drag and drop things in the app itself. I could go and change color really easily to make some things look really professional. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And of course, you could play with the size, with the color, and everything that you used to do in Firebug or Chrome DevTools on the stable version. One of the really powerful things that we have here is the ability to work with workers. And as I showed you before, on the Canary version, you basically have the ability to just pause the work on the start. So it's a very powerful way. And with a dedicated worker, you'll have the ability to just click and go and see what's going on in the worker itself. WebRTC is basically a new real-time connectivity on the web. With Get User Media, we have the ability to have video and audio from the browser. So think about Skype or Hangout or any other application giving you the ability to do video chat without the need to install any extra plugin like Flash, Java, etc. The Web Audio API is another very cool new API that's giving us or harnessing us with much more capabilities of dealing with the audio and massaging it and working with it in our web app itself. One of the things that are really sexy and easy to do is just to use on WebKit, of course, this extra attribute. And it will basically give us the ability to communicate with our web app through voice and not just through the keyboard or the mouse or the gamepad. So let's give it a quick try. Apple. Yeah, sometimes it's work and sometimes it's not that successful, but the good part is that this API giving you the percentage of what is the confidence level that you think you got the words right. So you could play with it and tune the app to work with it nicely. So just to get access to the camera and the microphone, get user media, that's the API. You'll basically be able to capture and work with the camera or with the input of the microphone from your hardware. This is the HTML part of what we need in terms of the video tag, and this is what we'll do in our JavaScript. Some really cool demos that I'm afraid we don't have time to go and check, but just feel free to play around them, and all of them are open source in terms of your capability to do view source and just see what's going on behind the scenes. Recording content. So of course, a very simple way just to launch the recorder, and with XHR2 we basically are able to work with blobs and very easily get the data, let's say it's a video stream, and upload it to a server and do extra manipulation on it. It's supported quite nicely, so both Chrome, Opera, and Firefox supporting it, and I hope we'll see it more and more browsers. Audio sexy. So we had the audio tag for quite a long time, and here are some really bold demos of what can be done today with audio. Again, just go and play with it. Some of them are really, really cool things. I won't have too much time, but this demo is just giving you a way to see how we're tapping into the stream of the audio itself and how we are able basically to capture the layers of the audio, and in this case, just to transfer them and make sure we have some nice visualization of the audio stream itself. Let's make sure. Stream multimedia, we're basically speaking here about Websockets, and Websockets are great in terms of letting us have a full duplex. So we don't need just to have the half duplex that we had with the old good HTTP request. And currently today we are able to work with blobs, files, and buffer arrays. So it's not only bound or limited to strings, and then we must use base64, which is at least 33% bigger than the amount of payload that we have under our head. So this new way is basically harnessing us with lots of capabilities of having a full duplex to the server and have a channel open and do some impressive stuff in terms of what we could do with the pipes today. Here you could see that we're setting an interval just to limit us to 50 milliseconds, and basically we send it every time that we have something new to send to the server. Chrome frame. Chrome frame is something that I'm truly passionate about, because I know that in the real world, lots of developers and lots of users are still using IE for lots of reasons. And basically, Chrome frame is a plugin that let them enjoy the capabilities of Chrome. They can install it without admin rights. And with this one meta tag or one header, if you're controlling the server, you can basically giving your users the ability to still be in IE but enjoy the speed, the simplicity, and the security that we have today in Chrome. So that's something that I truly encourage people that still have users in IE and are still must be in IE just to try and tap into Chrome frame. You have the full-blown capabilities to control this Chrome frame. You could say which IE versions you want to support, which not, and basically your users will be able to see amazing WebGL 3D inside of IE 6 or 7, and that's something that I'm sure will blow their minds. So that's the end. Some things that we covered here, quite a long list of new cool HTML5 APIs. It's basically a great time, I think, to be a web developer. Here we have a link to Google Chrome G+ page. If you want to stay in touch with lots of the new things that are happening today, this is a really, really great place to go and check. And I think it's a great time now to just go to questions. All the links are here, so if you want to see some code specifically of this slides or any other, just feel free. So thank you very much, and I think we could go to have a Q&A now.
Alrighty, we'll take a few in the order they came in, and we have a question from Michael. Michael says, offline apps provide better performance, but what are now considered the best ways to keep one's code private?
Yeah, so basically when we're speaking about the client side, it's JavaScript, and you could use Uglify or closures or lots of other JavaScript library or tools that will make sure that your code won't be as readable or as easy to read as you want people to be able to. But in the end of the day, we must remember that it's JavaScript we're talking about, it's not bytecode, and if you have something that is really proprietary or you're speaking about encryption, I would encourage you to check Knuckle, which is the native client technology that we have in Chrome, and basically enabling you to run C, C++ code in the browser. It might be better to your needs if you need something that is much stronger than JavaScript code on the client side. Because in the end of the day, even if you run it through closures or through other Uglify or any other tool, users will be able to read the code.
Great, thank you. And we have a question here from John. John would like to know regarding, he says, IndexedDB versus WebSQL. Will there be an SQL-like interface, or will apps have to do all the query logic in the code?
Yeah, so basically we have a problem today because we have WebSQL that is still supported on Safari, so if you're targeting iOS, you probably want to support it. IndexedDB is the new spec. I mean, WebSQL is deprecated from 2010. And one solution that I found, and I think it's the right answer to your question, is libraries like Launcher. You could find it just Google it. That's basically letting you work with plugins. So I think they have, actually I know, they have a plugin for both technologies, WebSQL and IndexedDB. And you can work there and do some feature detection and enjoy both worlds right now. But in the future, our life in terms of web developer will be much easier because we'll hopefully need to support just IndexedDB, which is a NoSQL database on the client side.
Great, thank you. We have a question from Kevin. Kevin would like to know, Ido, what was the name of that Chrome debugging tool again?
That's a great one. It's Chrome DevTools, and it's coming with Chrome. So if you already installed Chrome, just right-click on any element on the page, and you'll see a menu with Inspect Element, and once you click it, you'll see the the developer tools opening it. Another shortcut that I use is Command-Shift-C, which will open the DevTools as well.
Okay, and we have a question now from Ravisara. She'd like to know, is Chrome Frame an add-on for IE?
Absolutely. So Chrome Frame is basically an add-on that you don't need admin rights in order to install it. So users can install it and enjoy Chrome inside IE. It will work just if you, as the web developer, put the meta tag or change the HTTP header to let IE basically know that you need to use this plugin for that specific site. For your users that are working with, let's say, Gmail, for instance, and they are working from any IE below, let's say, 9, they will gain at least 30% performance gain just from doing that. So it's really, really powerful tool that I think not a lot of people, or not as many as people that we should use are using it.
Great. And we have, let's see here, another question from Garrett. Garrett says he's been having trouble with Chrome Frame because users have third-party plugins disabled in IE browsers. Is there any way around this so that Chrome Frame is guaranteed to work?
I'm not sure what's exactly third plugins, third-party plugins are interfering with, but I would be more than happy to follow up with him. So if you want to ping me on Twitter or G+, I would definitely could give him much better answer just so I know exactly what are the third-party plugins that are interfering or are causing Chrome frame not to function as properly.
Let's see, one came in. Victoria is asking Backbone versus Ember. If you maybe have thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, if you just want to try and play with both, I think you'll see from the start that Backbone is much lighter in terms of what it's giving you and the functionality. So you'll have it clear separation between the data and the view. And you could basically work and be productive with it quite quickly. With Ember, they choose their own path, and sometimes it will work great, specifically if you have quite nice, heavy web app with lots of functionalities with rich feature set. And Ember is coming with handlebars as a templating engine, and with Backbone you are free to use whatever you like. So it's just a matter of choice. Ember is a very, very good project. It's the learning curve is much. It's a bit lower because you really need to understand what they wanted to achieve and how they are targeting the solutions to specific problems. With Backbone, it's much easier, and the learning curve is much steeper, I would say, because it's very easy to grasp it. Even if you diving into their code, quite quickly you'll know what to do and what is the right thing. And Backbone got huge amount of new plugins and add-ons that are people adding to it. So I will try to check both of them and invest a bit of the effort just to see what are the pros and cons on each and every one of them. Not on all the MVC frameworks that are out there because there are too many, but I would read what Eddie or Sami did in To Do MVC and just see if one of these frameworks is answering right, or maybe there's a third one that is basically the best tool for the job that I have under my head. But both of them are good choices. So I think in a nutshell, just try to check both of them, check the water with them, and then go with one.
We will say a very, very big thank you to you for presenting such an outstanding webcast for us all. People that attended today, thank you for attending. We hope you benefited from today's event. And Ido, I'm looking at all the chat coming in, and people are just saying, thank you, it was a great webcast, very inspiring, fantastic information. So everyone really enjoyed it. Again, thank you, Ido. Thank you, everyone. And folks, we'd also like to remind you, we did push out some codes for you today for attending the event as a thank you. So open that group chat if you haven't. Look at the codes we sent out. It'll save you a little bit of money so you can get Ido's book. Ido has a new book with O'Reilly, Web Workers. Great information there. Will help you in what you do day to day. Again, thank you, Ido. Thank you, everyone. This will conclude today's webcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.